For the main course, I'm going to do, because it's going to be, this is lentil and pulse week, and what I've decided to do is I'm going to do like a little bit of a chilli tonight. So I'm going to use an onion and some tinned tomatoes, which are there, just some chopped tomatoes, then some corn. I'm going to use like a beef substitute, just for a change, just to show that we don't need to use meat all the time. And then I've got, instead of just kidney beans, I'm going to use these Mexican style beans, which is a combination of different beans. And I'm also going to chuck in some butter beans. Now, the reason for doing that is because I want this to be a fairly substantial dish so you can eat it on its own rather than have it with rice or pasta or tortillas or something. So because this is kind of a protein-based meal, I don't really want to be having carbohydrates with it. So we could use quinoa, but I've had that for 2 days, so I'm not going to have it tonight. So this needs to be a fairly substantial dish in its own right, and that's why I'm putting quite a few beans in with it. And we could have it with a salad. That's the other option, of course, is to have this with a salad. But I don't have a salad, so I'm not going to have a salad. I'm going to just have this. Righty ho, I'm just I'm going to put the oil there, that's off a bit of olive oil there on the pan. I'm just got a couple of garlic cloves here. This is optional in this dish, to be fair, but I like the garlic, so I'm going to use it. Yourself a spatula. Okay, so in goes the garlic. Stir that around. Stop it sticking and get all the lovely oils coming out. Whoa, that is gorgeous. Do love the smell of garlic. Right, then what I'm going to do is chuck in all the onion. I'm sure there's a better way of doing this, to be fair, but you know, I'm a bit tight on space here, as you can see. So, whee, there we go. Yeah. I know it's not Jamie Oliver's kitchen, but there we go. It just goes to show you, you don't have to be in some kind of flash kitchen to cook decent food. He says hopefully. Right, I'm just going to... Now, the horrible thing about cooking on electricity is you've got no real control over it. It's boiling hot at the moment, but I'm going to turn that down to like 3, it's not 6, because by the time I put everything in, it might have settled down a little bit and it can just simmer then. If you've got gas, that's infinitely superior. So it's not one of those fancy, super duper, psychedelic flat things, whatever they're called. What are they? Ceramic hob. Ceramic hob, brilliant. Then I'm sure you know what you're doing with those. Right, so that's sweating up nicely now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up this. This is my corn. It's about the same amount in here as you get in a pack of beef. It says cooked and frozen, and I'm not. Right, because I haven't got a freezer. So I'm just cooking it like straight now. Now that looks pretty horrible, to be honest. But I bet you that by the time I chuck my tomatoes in, which are going in now, by the way. There we go. Get my tomatoes. I'm also going to stick in a little bit of water as well. it's all settling down a bit now, you see. Very often cooked corn, I have to be honest, but when I have cooked it, it's been quite surprising because it seems to taste alright. Now if I put a load of this corn in, which actually in terms of grammage is a lot more than would have been if I'd put beef in, because it's a lot lighter. So what I might well do here is put in another tin of tomatoes. So I'm just going to grab another tin. Oh, I've got one here. Just don't have a tin opener. Excuse me. Oh, yeah, I've just been pointed out that I don't need one. We have one built in. How about that? So I'm going to pull that in, and that should enable us to get a bit of liquid going on here. Something, this is going to be pretty tomatoey. It's going to taste fantastic, I can assure you. Right, so I'm just going to rinse this out again, this tin. A bit more liquid. All that in there. And now we're getting somewhere. Now I'm going to put in some other bits and pieces now. My super duper ingredient oyster sauce, we're going to have a bit of that. That's the little bit that's left over from last night. It isn't very much. So that's dead. I'll put a bit more in. Okay. Also, I'm going to put in some ketchup. Now I like ketchup because it's got, you know, it's a little bit sweet, but it's tomatoey, so I'm going to put a bit of that in. I've also got some other, I've got some sun-dried tomato paste here hanging around. I'm going to chuck that in. That's the nice thing about this dish, you can kind of just hoof in what you like. And I've got like a Mexican one here as well, so I'm just going to use the rest of that up. That's good. Get that in there. I'll just give that another stir around. These flavours are pretty intense now. Oh, that's quite hot, that is. good thing about corn is it doesn't take very long to cook really. Now I haven't put any chilli in here yet, and I haven't put any beans in here yet either. So there are two things that have got to go in. So I've got a tin of beans here. I've used, as I said earlier, some Mexican mixed beans here, just for a change. And I'm also going to bung in some butter beans, just for a change. Give it a bit of different colour. And fold those in. And I'm going to put in a bit more water, because although I want it fairly thick, I do want this to absorb some water. So, and I'm going to simmer this just to let all the tastes mingle. So I'm just going to let that simmer, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to put the chilli in to spice it up a little bit. Okay, so I've just sprinkled a bit of this Vegeta on the, this has been cooking now for about half an hour, so just put a bit of Vegeta on there. I'm also going to put on here now, just going to dry this spoon up, some, now this is actually spicy paprika, but you can use chili, but I'm just going to use this paprika. So I'm just going to, I'm not going to put too much on, I'm just going to mix that in and taste it. I've had that covered here just for about half an hour. Just going to taste that. Do with a bit more. Right, that should be fine. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put the lid on this again. I'm just going to leave it just to simmer for another 15 minutes or so. Let that spicy paprika do its job and infuse everything, and then we'll be ready to eat. Now I've made this pretty drying, because it's wet, but it's not sort of all sloppy, because I'm going to be just eating this on its own pretty much, without, well, yeah, maybe with a bit of salad. So it's got quite a bit of substance to it, which is kind of how I wanted it to be. So I'm going to just cover that now with this metal lid and leave that for another 15 minutes or so. Okay, it's now pretty well cooked, so I'm just going to dish up some. Just get a plate organised. Okay, so there we go. And this makes a pretty healthy alternative to beef.